Fasten your seatbelts, hold on tight. You're in for one crazy ride tonight on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show. Hashtag one on Facebook.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts, hold on tight. You're in for one incredibly awesome and amazing ride tonight on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show. Hashtag one on YouTube. Tonight we have with us Tony Kulesza on the show. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Thanks, Josh. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. So, Tony, let's talk about how you got into racing. How did this all come about for you?
Well, it started many moons ago. My father was into drag racing.
Okay.
So he figured I wasn't the perfect kid. So he figured, well, the heck with it. Go with your aunt to Fonda Speedway, eat some dirt in your French fries. He thought it'd be kind of disciplined for me for doing something wrong. And I fell in love at 7 years old, I think it was. So I went to Fonda Speedway with my aunt. I think in reality, from approximately 8 years old into my senior year, I missed maybe 3-4 nights at Fonda Speedway. It was so bad that my high school prom, my date, I was like, I know there's a great hotel and stuff. Well, ironically, it was on the backstretch of Fonda Speedway. So I figured after the prom, we could at least see the dust from the track.
Yeah.
So that's where we spent the night outside in the balcony watching the dust from the track. So I'm sure that made her real happy.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
There was a motocross track at home, Kulesza Motocross Park, and I started flagging there when I was about 11th grade. Went to college in Utica, New York. Every Friday, pretty much went to Albany, Saratoga Speedway. Saturday, we'd go to Fonda. Then Sunday, usually I didn't have money by the end of the weekend, so we sneaked into Utica Rome Speedway. Then I moved out to Western New York to go to Buff State. Met a couple of gentlemen in the Southern Tier. Started working at Freedom Motorsports Park, and started working on the tow truck. Met a couple of really good people down there. I kind of got their deal was sit in the back of the packing truck, and silly me, I did. And well, he went full speed packing the truck in as I'm sitting in the back of the bed. That was a ride of my life.
Oh, I bet.
So I progressed there. I went up, went to the backstretch starter at Freedom Motorsports Park. Did some flagging on the main flag stand. Worked at Genesee Speedway for a while. Then I ended up running the BI Electric Series for the sportsman cars. We had races in Pennsylvania, Canada, all over. Had a great field of great 602 sportsman cars. In between, I was managed a couple indoor go-kart tracks, and pretty much my whole life's been revolved around racing one way or the other.
And you drive a little bit of race car too, right? Now?
Yep. Not full time anymore. Yeah, I used to drive mini stocks, 4 cylinders.
Okay.
I ran full time at Genesee Speedway. We ran all over. We ran Skyline in Blodgett Mills, New York, Paradise in Geneva, New York, Ransomville. Also before that, I ran mini cups, they called them. They were like a quarter scale NASCAR looking car. True story. I led the points the whole season for that the one year. We ran Wyoming County, Holland Speedway, different tracks like that. I led the whole season, and we were at Holland Speedway, final race of the night. I was the points leader, I think, by 7-8 points, and I got greedy. I wanted to see how many people I could lap. I had a great crew: Dave Urbanski, bless his soul, Eddie Wirtz, and the chain ended up coming off the car.
Oh.
I literally lost the championship after leading it the whole year by 1 point.
Oh,
and
boy.
that changed my whole philosophy on racing to be greedy. And yeah, I was in a low place after that. I got greedy, and I literally led the points the whole year and tried to be a macho man and make people look silly. I made myself look silly. Actually, I started originally behind the wheel at Holland Speedway. Pat Spruce, he had an enduro car. I ran enduros down there for a while. Then I ran dirt enduros also. Ironically, it was the last race 2 years ago Genesee Speedway had, and it's coming out of turn one, going in turn one, and I felt the heat, and I looked back, and there's flames in the back. The seat was gone out of the car, but I saw the flames. I had holes in the floor. To this day, they haven't had an enduro. It literally took them over 20 minutes to put the fire out.
Oh boy.
The transmission overheated, burned a fuel line. I had a full tank of gas because in the past I've ran out of gas while racing, so I made sure that never happened. This was on the back stretch where I parked right by the fire trucks. The smoke was so bad, it set the smoke detectors off in the announcer's booth across the track.
Oh God.
I went back all the way to the pits as the fire was going on, changed my clothes, got my fire suit off. I came back and the fire was still going on. So,
Oh
and like
boy.
I said, they haven't had an enduro there again since. So, yeah, it's
Wow.
kind of, I've done all different types of racing. I tried motocross once, like 100 years ago, as it seems like, and that was the last time I tried that. It's not for me. There's no protection there. So, motocross, I'll flag for it, but no, I'm not a motocross rider.
Okay. Yeah. You motocross racing, that can be kind of iffy and dangerous. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a special breed to do that, and nothing but
Oh yeah.
respect for anyone that does it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Tony, let's talk about your race car number, the race car number that you drive. What's that story behind that number?
It was 36. I always idolized Kenny Wallace.
Okay.
So that was his dirt number, obviously, and still is. And that's why I started running it. And yeah, I believe actually one of my enduro cars was 36 also I ran. And yeah, pretty much except for the enduros where a lot of times you won't have the choice of the number you take. It was always 36.
Okay.
So
Okay. So let's talk about now. If you don't mind, you want to talk a little bit about Mackenzie? We can. That's fine.
sure. Mackenzie, she was a daddy's girl.
Okay.
My splitting image, good and bad, had my good traits, my bad traits. Little story about her 2 years ago. When COVID was real bad up here in New York, we ended up going to Roaring Knob in Markleysburg, Pennsylvania. 3 weeks in a row we went because Mackenzie twisted my arm. Not that I like racing or nothing. So it's like a 6-hour drive one way.
Oh
And we
boy.
went there. We ended up going there 4 weekends in a row. A lot of tracks, like I said, New York weren't run. There were other tracks running, but we met a couple of people over down there that became like family, Donnie Barney and stuff. And 4 weeks in a row, we drove all the way down to Roaring Knob and all the way back. One time we did it, we didn't spend the night down there. Never again. I was lucky to make it. I was quite tired. I mean,
Oh
because
yeah.
I'm a Tim
Yeah.
Hortons addict. Tim
That's a little
Hortons
bit of a
coffee.
drive.
So, I living on a coffee all the way back, but yeah, that wasn't a fun trip home. But a little over a year ago, Mackenzie was with me a lot of the time, we'll say.
Oh yeah.
Her mother and I were separated, and I had her for 6 days prior and picked her up from school like I normally do. And I got the dad, I'm staying one more night. It's like, Kenzie, no, it's your mom's going to get upset. Go home. So we brought her home. The following evening, it was right around dark. So I think it was about 5:30. My phone rang. I heard some sirens outside and had a bad feeling in my gut.
Yeah.
So a neighbor ended up turning on their app on the scanner, and they said there was an accident with 3 children. One was unresponsive. My phone rang shortly after that. It was her mother. I went flying to the accident scene, approximately 4 miles from my house.
Wow.
As a parent, as a human, I had the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah.
I saw my daughter on the stretcher. I saw the Mercy Flight helicopter landing.
Wow.
I knew, not being a doctor, that she wasn't in good shape. 11 years old. So long story short, they put her in the ambulance, put her in the helicopter. I came flying back home and picked up somebody, and we went flying down to Buffalo to the hospital. And as soon as her mother and I got there, across from the ER room, they told us to come over, and the doctor, a minister, and I guess a counselor type of
Wow.
lady walked over and said basically as soon as she went up in the helicopter, she quit breathing on her own.
Wow.
The back of
Wow.
her brain was destroyed, which
Oh,
until then I didn't realize you can't do no surgery or anything on the back of the brain. And for all intents and purposes, she was gone.
wow. Wow.
We wanted to donate all of her organs, so they kept her on life support at Children's Hospital in Buffalo. And unfortunately, her head started swelling real bad, and so they had to push it up. And they took her organs out, and we went down there and said her final goodbyes. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, when they took her organs out, they were pretty much all destroyed, even with
Wow.
X-rays.
Oh,
They used a lot of the stuff for research.
yeah.
The only thing they could truly use was her retinas.
Yeah.
So one of her retinas went to a girl outside of Syracuse, New York, and
Okay.
another retina went to a lady in South America, someplace it was.
Okay. Okay.
And changed my life forever, to say the least. And I'll be straightforward. I got family. They're on the other side of the strait, or the
Yeah.
state. They're great. I love them. If it wasn't for my racing family, because they're closer to me,
Oh,
and
yeah.
if it
Yeah.
wasn't for them, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
really don't know.
Yeah. And you know what I think is kind of interesting, Tony, is, I'm glad you came back to racing, because I know you took a little time off to kind of regroup for things. And I'm glad you made your way back, because without people like you and me and everybody else talking to these drivers, where would we be at? Seriously, where would we be at?
True.
So,
I, actually, to be honest, I mean, I don't remember exactly. It's a little over a year now, but I'm going to say out of the first 10 people that contacted me, I'm going to say probably about 7 of them were from the racing community, including at the time, the general manager from Ransomville Speedway. She had my cell phone and said nothing but prayers. And my immediate family headed out from Albany, so it's almost a 4-hour drive. So it took them a
wow.
little bit to get out here, and it's been tough.
Oh, yeah.
It's been tough. But with that being said, last year we had 1, 2, 3 memorial races in Mackenzie's name.
Okay. Okay.
One in Bradford, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
We did a sportsman race, and we did one at
Okay.
Ransomville. And we
Okay.
did one exactly on her birthday in Genesee, New York, or Batavia, New
Okay.
York.
Okay.
The kid that started setting that up was her best friend from the racetrack.
Okay. Alrighty.
I did a little interview with him for my interview page Tuesday night at her thing. And when them two got to the racetrack, I would get the "Dad, I love you. Be safe. I'll see you when you're racing." She'd give me a hug and a kiss. She'd go with Brian Gregory. The only time I'd see her is usually when I was done racing. She'd watch me race,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
she never left his side. I mean, them two were inseparable. And ironically, Brian Gregory, he's been at all of Mackenzie's functions. We had a parade of
Okay.
her at her 1-year anniversry. When
Yeah. I seen that.
Brian, him and his family drove about an hour. We only worked on it. It was the last second decision. Me and a couple other girls helped, and Amber and Stephanie mainly. And it was about 2.5 weeks, and we ended up having almost 300 people.
Wow. That's
Um,
pretty huge.
Great
That's pretty
Memorial
huge.
Walk. The weather stunk. We had 4 news channels there doing TV coverage,
Okay.
numerous newspapers. We had, I want to say it was 4 or 5 mini stock cars. They decorate them all up in Christmas lights. I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's all, Adam and all them.
Oh, yeah.
Had a bunch of people walk in. We had a motorcycle club that I knew a guy from years ago. I didn't even know he was part of the club. They showed up with 4 motorcycles, rode in the parade.
Wow.
2 of the newscasters from Buffalo News Station walked right next to me.
Wow.
It was for a terrible situation leading that parade. There was this young girl that I do a, for those who don't know, I do an interview page on Facebook, Tony's Interviews. We go around and interview. This is what Josh is talking about. I got more back into it. Last year alone, we did Steve Kenzer, Kyle Larson. We did interviews at Eldora Speedway. A lot of local guys and girls. But right, I think it was 2 weeks before Kenzie's parade, I was doing an interview with this 5-year-old girl, Ella from Wyoming, New York. And I've always loved kids,
Oh yeah.
but in my mind, as a dad, she was a clone of Mackenzie. She's, a little smarty pants, smart kid, and I fell in love with her. And so I asked her parents if she wanted to, because she raced go-karts. I believe it was 32 wins she had in her rookie season.
Wow. Wow.
That's heat wins and feature wins.
Wow.
So I asked her to come, be part of the parade if she wanted, and her whole family came, mother, father, whole family. So I had her as the first vehicle in the parade, and she was right behind me in the parade with her go-kart, and it was all decked out and lights, and her father was on the four-wheeler, and they had a little float with her little sister, and we had a couple people put floats together, and it was touching. It was special.
Oh yeah. I bet it was really touching to be a part of that, and definitely.
I mean, like I said, the racing community and people, and I opened it up to everyone, her mother's side, her mother and I, we didn't see eye to eye, on breakups are, and I made it clear that her whole family was welcomed, and the bulk of them came. It was great. It worked out great.
Yeah.
Then last year in what I did Tuesday night, I have a friend, Scotty Kruder. He runs sprint cars. He runs the TQ midgets indoor. He just raced in Atlanta or Allentown, Pennsylvania last weekend.
Okay.
But he owns an indoor go-kart track in Rochester, Indy Raceway.
Okay.
And so last year we did it 4 weeks worth of racing leagues in Kenzie's memory. We had our first one last Tuesday night. It seems to be a common thing, not on purpose, but we only advertised like a little over a week or so on it, and we had 27 people show up, and the max for the computer system there's 30. So I'm very pleasantly surprised. But we had race car drivers from all forms of racing there. We had two kids, younger 20s. They worked at the indoor track in Syracuse. They're employees there. They come out, so they're going to run the leagues. I mean, competitors from the racetrack. A lot of people I didn't know, but a lot of people I knew, and it was a great turnout. A very good turnout.
Yeah.
So, it's all about keeping her memory alive now.
Oh yeah. Yep. Keeping that memory alive is a good thing, because definitely.
My condolences to you for your father too, Josh.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tony. And I've heard my share of losses too. 2021 wasn't the best. I admit that. I lost my co-host, and that was hard to deal with. And then on top of that, my dad. So that stunk big time.
This world's not for weak people, I'll tell you that.
No, it's not. But so I'm glad that you're keeping Mackenzie's memory alive, which is good. Definitely. That's pretty spectacular that you're able to do that. So do you have any Oh yes. So do you have any memorial races set up for Mackenzie going into 2022?
Yes. May 20th or 22nd, we have the mini stock race at Ransomville Speedway, which is the closest dirt track to me. Last year's race, it was the highest paying mini stock race in Ransomville Speedway history.
Wow.
The winner took home a nice chunk of change. We had lap sponsors. I came out of retirement, thank you to Cole Susi. And I did not have a good heat race. I didn't go out for practice because my crew left my helmet and stuff in the personal vehicle.
Oops.
Anyhow,
oops daisy.
Truth of the story was it was a little bit dusty. It was the first race of the year.
The
track was a little bit rough. I started 18th. It was a 24, 25 car field. I started 18th. There was numerous cautions. First race of the year, track conditions, a little bit, of everything. And it was about lap 12, I believe, the race director came on the one way. It was under caution and said, hey, we're cutting it down. I think it was 10 laps. It was supposed to be 36 laps, which is my race car number.
Oh yeah.
And I was running back. I was like 12th or so at the time. And God's honest truth, I heard something in my head. It said, Dad, go. Dad, go. And I've raced so many years. I'm not nervous. I respect the car. I respect competitors. And I just felt something different. And I went from 12th place. I think the two laps came to go. Ashley was in front of me. She was running third. So I was up to fourth. And I ended up finishing fourth after starting 18th.
That's pretty awesome. You got a top 5 finish out of that deal. That's pretty cool.
Then on her birthday, like I said, her best friend started putting that together. Jim and Pam Johnson, who have a big part of with her birthday race this year, although they're not the owners of Genesee Speedway this year, there's new owners. They came on board to be the main supporter of the race this year, and that back to the racing family. So her birthday race was on a Thursday, right on her birthday, June 17th.
Okay.
And we had, I think it was like 30 cars. One gentleman, Richard Wagner, came from down by Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania or something. It was 4.5 hours one way with a mini stock to run this race.
Wow.
I just talked to him 2 weeks ago. He's coming back this year.
Wow.
By the luck of the draw, Brian Gregory, he finished third in his heat race in the top 3 redraw the 4 heat races. He drew the pole for Mackenzie's birthday race.
Wow.
No politics, just by the luck of the draw. And this guy, he wasn't feeling it that day. Adam Filer's car, actually, I drove.
Okay.
It was super emotional being her birthday, first birthday without her.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And the driver's head wasn't there.
Oh yeah.
So they put me in the show. I started dead last. Brian started first. I started dead last. And I got halfway through the race and I was going to get lapped. And instead of being a nuisance, I pulled off, watched the rest of the race from the infield. And I truly believe it was one of the best mini stock races ever at the track that I've gone to for years. Not because it was Kenzie's race. James Gayton, the gentleman, put a ton of work putting the race together. He also races the mini stocks.
Okay.
Him and Ashley. Ashley's a female driver that's very good. The one that beat my butt at Ransville, ironically. They put on a great show. They ran clean. Coming into the last lap in turn 3, James Gayton had the lead. Coming out of turn 4, Ashley never touched him. She passed him on the outside, and she took a Kenzie's race, a female winner in Kenzie's Memorial race.
Very, very cool. Very cool.
All went ballistic.
Yeah.
James Gayton ran her 100% clean. It just, it was a great race. It was also what they did that day. The track owners had whoever wanted to bring cupcakes or cakes in for Kenzie's birthday day.
Oh, yeah.
And there was easily over 100 cupcakes there that drivers brought in.
Wow.
They also decorated the whole track in lights. Kenzie's favorite color was blue.
Okay.
So all the features had blue. They had, before our feature, all of our drivers were out on the front straightaway. They had a phenomenal fireworks show. As the checkered flag was coming out, they had another fireworks show. And that's something that that birthday thing, Ransville Speedway was great too, don't get me wrong. They were great to work with. They just great people. Then we did a race in Bradford Speedway, Dennis Cummings' place, right over the border.
Okay.
It's like a little quarter-mile hot bank dirt track.
Okay.
When I ran the BI series, it was a Crate Sportsman, so we did it for the Crate Sportsman. The tire wars were the only thing that hurt it, Hoosier or American Racer tires. So I understand, some good driver, one has advantage over the other, and so that we had a decent amount of cars, but that was a very, very good race. I didn't race in that. I flagged it.
Okay.
The first show, I ran a mini stock, but I flagged the sportsman race in her memory. Um, First show got rained out after the heat races, so we ended up doing on July 4th. So the owner did fireworks for Kenzie's race again.
Okay.
The gentleman that actually won it was Stacy Jackson. He's been racing for years. He's out of Woodhall, New York.
Okay.
And ironically, he lost his brother Mike Jackson. I believe it was right after Mackenzie or right before Mackenzie. I
Wow.
forget off the top of my head, from cancer. So him losing his brother and me losing my daughter, and
Yeah.
I mean, I did an interview with him earlier in that day, and we knew each other, and the
Yeah.
emotions looking in his eyes. And if I remember right, I believe his brother at one point won a race at that track. Mike
Okay.
Jackson. So talk about emotions. It was very emotional.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So yeah, and with the parade and like I said, the Indy Raceway, Kart Raceway in Rochester, we're keeping her memory going.
That is really cool that you're able to keep that memory going. Definitely. So are you going to be racing in her races again this year, or?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I've learned in my old age. I guess I like waiting to the last second.
Yeah.
There's a possibility. Either way, I'm
Okay.
going to be involved in one way or the
Oh,
other.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just the feedback already. We haven't even posted the lap sponsorships and stuff, and I've already had a few texts. Well, when are you going to do it, Tony? We want to sponsor a lap, and the support from the community. It's just,
Oh,
I'll say it 1,000 times. I can't thank
yeah.
them enough. It's
Yeah. It's
they're the ones
huge. It's
that
huge. It's huge. Yeah.
as you know,
So,
Racers is a big family.
oh, yes. I know that firsthand. So Tony, let's talk. Okay, when you're at the racetrack, what do you like to eat at the racetrack? What's your favorite thing to munch on at the track?
Well, as you can see, I'm not too fussy. I probably one of my worst traits in life. I am a junk of food-aholic. Tim Hortons coffee is a must every day. Racetracks, Tony likes the salt potatoes, the fried dough. Not that there's usually much healthy stuff at the racetrack, but
True, right? True.
I actually I've only been drinking coffee like 3 years, and I'm
Okay.
in my high 40s now.
Mm.
I've always been a chocolate milk guy until then. So back when I was running the mini cups, true story. Yeah. Chocolate milk all day. I'm at work. I leave it on the dash of the truck. It get hot. Maybe not the smartest thing to do, but that one particular day at Wyoming County in Perry, New York, I was running the mini cup, and I felt like I had to use the bathroom because I was chugging down chocolate milk, and it was on the dash of the truck, so it got hot and started curling, and I drinking my milk. That was my thing before I went on the track, and thank God the track management worked with me, and I went to. They actually moved our race back, and I ended up coming back, and I won that race. They made me start last, and
Okay.
we only had, I think, I want to say 14 cars, but yeah, I ended up with 2 laps to go. I passed a gentleman from Pennsylvania, and that's a day I always remember.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So okay, you said you follow Kenny Wallace a lot. Is he your racing hero then, Tony?
I would say, yeah.
Okay.
I've always had respect for him.
Okay.
He's, I feel, a great ambassador for the sport.
Definitely.
And I've always, that's kind of why, even before Mackenzie's tragedy, I've been the one that's always tried to help all the tracks out.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Help out all drivers, help
Yeah.
out asphalt, dirt. Racing's racing. I mean, I will go to lawnmowers at the racing. I just love the sport.
Yeah.
There's a flat track bike race down the road. And them guys I've done it all. Lime Rock, the 600 mini sprints, the flat track bikes. I went to a friend's garden tractor pulls with his kids. Last year alone, we had over 200 memorial stickers. I'm looking, I don't see one right here in Kenzie's memory. And they
Wow.
were on every type of racing vehicle, asphalt, dirt. They were all over. And I'm
Wow.
so thankful for the drive. I already got a list, I believe, about 40 that want for their new cars, their new designs. This thing behind me, I don't know if you can really see it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a door off of Zach George's car.
Okay.
Zach is an individual. When I ran the BEI series, I don't make fun of this, but it's there was a situation in Canada. Him and his father raced Scott George, who's ran.
Okay.
Scott George is a big name in Western New York, very talented
Okay.
driver. There's a situation up in Humberstone Speedway in Canada, and I understand why he did what he did, but as an official, I had to do something. So we ended up suspending him for the next season, I believe it was,
Ooh.
because there was an altercation in the car and
Oh yeah, yeah.
someone came at him and the fists were flying. But well, his son Zach, we got close after that, you know.
Yeah.
And so Zach called me over the winter last year and was like, Tony, what's Mackenzie's 3 favorite colors? And I told him 3 colors on the vinyl. And he's like, well, what's her favorite number? And I said, well, it's always been, I guess, 36, because it was dad's race car number. So on this, he ran 36M and it says Mackenzie. And he did his
Okay.
whole car vinyled up and Kenzie's 3 favorite colors, and ran in memory of her the whole season. But with that
Wow.
being said, right before the season started, he got in a little accident with his personal vehicle, so he couldn't
Ooh.
race. So
Oh
his
boy.
father, Scott, who I suspended a handful of years
Yeah.
ago, he ran it, and I can remember at her memorial race and stuff, he's like, Tony, I'm going to run it as hard as I ever ran a car. I'm going to try to get the win. And then Zach ended up finishing out the year in it. And but for someone that's not family and what
Oh
we've
yeah.
gone through, that just shows you what the racing family is. I mean,
Oh
the
yeah.
car was phenomenal. And yeah, I mean, we people come up with Mackenzie shirts, and like this one, the gentleman from the parade, um, he he brought this. At her parade, we had 5 guest speakers, 3 were close personal friends. Um, then another gentleman by the name of Andy Jankowiak.
Okay.
Andy lives about a half an hour from me. He runs asphalt. He runs ARCA part-time. He was the TQ indoor champion of the indoor series through Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. Top asphalt modified runner. He won the ROC race last year. And the speech he did at Kenzie's memorial walk, it was touching. They all were touching.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's been a ride.
Oh yeah.
Definitely been a ride.
It's been a heck of a ride for you, definitely. So yeah, Tony. So out of the race car drivers that you've interviewed and talked to, what's their favorite thing that they say to you when they talk to you?
I don't know. I when I do my interviews, I'm a little bit different. Some people that know me, they know what to expect, and I play it. You know, when people are nervous, I as you
Oh
are
yeah.
very good at what you do, you
Oh
can
yes.
read people.
Oh yeah.
And ironically, the one gentleman I'm thinking of in mind, he runs a dirt sportsman car, Brandon Close. He's running Kenzie's racing leagues in Rochester on Tuesday nights. And when I did his interview last year, I could see he was a little bit uptight. I don't think he's ever done an interview.
Oh yeah.
Well, I never gave him a heads up. I was like, "You ready?" And the girl with the camera kind of do, you know, I'll go like this, and they say their name in their hometown. So he said, Brandon Close, wherever the heck he lived, Appleton or whatever. And my first question was, are you wearing underwear? His whole face just went. And
Wow.
that's what I said. I thought he was going to go potty in his pants or something, but you know, and I have a thing of when you want to thank your sponsors, cats, dogs.
Yeah.
I try to make it fun. I try to make it
Oh yeah.
different.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I give the chance for the drivers to ask me a question. There was a mini stock driver a couple years ago I did, and asked kind of an awkward question. So if I don't feel it's going to be a decent question, I don't ask it. But I've had the opportunity to interview a lot of good drivers, not only good drivers, good people, as I'm sure you have yourself.
Oh yeah, yes, definitely.
And I always try to, whether I go to their place, we're at the track, I always try to, if I don't know them, learn a little bit about them,
Yeah.
what they enjoy. And I really enjoy meeting people, and I've met a lot of people, as you have.
Oh
And
yes.
it's amazing the diversity in people, and it's pretty special. It really
I tell
is.
you what, I've enjoyed meeting you. That's for sure. That's true. I have enjoyed meeting you, definitely.
Yeah, well, I was watching some of your stuff, and I was like, wow, this guy's pretty good. Let me see how he does it, man. He's a pro. I just do it for fun. This guy's a professional.
Yeah. But yeah, so Tony, what do you like to do when you're not away from the racetrack? When you're away from the racetrack, what's some of the things that you like to do away from the track?
I'm an outdoor guy.
Okay.
I like the outdoors. I got a Jack Russell Terrier Pit Bull.
Okay.
I got him a little over a year before Kenzie passed away. Matter of fact, it took about 4 months for him to go in Mackenzie's room. And I spend a lot of time with him when I'm not working and stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The interview stuff takes a lot of time, but I'm
Oh yeah.
always doing something.
Oh yeah.
I love the outdoors. I love all sports. Like this Saturday, we're going to a friend's house, Matt and Molly and Wilson. We're going to watch the Buffalo Bills kill the Patriots in football. So I
I'll
like
tell
all
you.
forms of sports.
I'll tell you what, Tony. I don't like the Patriots myself. Patriots are
See,
not
I
my.
knew I liked you, Josh.
I'm not a Patriot fan myself.
And without mentioning names, because there's a sprint car driver that neither of us like too much.
Oh, yeah, true.
And you or I are not about bashing people publicly, so you know who I'm talking about. And
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
matter of fact, I still haven't posted his interview because of that.
Yeah.
Hey, Diesel, come here, D. See, my dog will come out.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Come here, D. Come up here. Sit.
Oh boy.
That's my boy.
Oh boy. Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
little boy.
Oh yes.
But yeah, I love people. I love kids.
Oh, yeah.
I've been trying to do a lot more younger drivers. As you know, again,
Yeah.
some of them can be a challenge to interview,
Oh yes.
but I love it. I love the challenge.
Oh yeah.
We're
And the thing is, this Tony too, what I was brought into this whole racing world as a racing show host, they told me, this is, kids is where it starts at. And I was just like, wow, I never had that philosophy before, but then it's just like, man, I see the big picture with that.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, February 11th and 12th, gentleman by the name of Brandon Clapperton, he's having the first indoor dirt race for go-karts out in Norwich, New York. And
Okay.
we're out there for the weekend. And I got, I think, about 8 kids right now that I'm going to do their interviews, and some older riders.
Oh yeah.
But it's kind of neat because it's the first dirt go-kart race in New York State. So I'm glad to be part of that.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh yes, definitely. So thank you very much, Tony, for being on my racing show tonight, talking to us a little bit about Mackenzie, talking about your racing a little bit. Do you have anything is there any sponsors you'd like to thank for helping you out?
Well, to be honest, I will probably forget half of them. So to be fair, I probably shouldn't say any, because to be honest, I'm blessed that so many people have come on board for these events. I mean, just the last one, just the go-kart thing, and that this was more of the track. It's just keeping her name.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
came on board. MHL Performance, which ironically is that Brian Gregory's father's Tom.
Oh yeah.
That's his business. Wilson Sign came on. They did awesome plaques, but I mean, I want to say off the top of my head, just for the Ranceville show last year, we had It was over 40 some sponsors, easy.
Wow. Wow.
It's the
And,
racing
you know,
community.
and I'd like to throw this out there too, Tony, to help you out. If there's anybody that would like to help sponsor Mackenzie's Memorial Races, reach out to Tony Kulesza because he would appreciate the help with that because that would be huge, 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 huge. So Tony, I know what my goal for you is. I need to get you out here to the Midwest. We got to get you out here to the Midwest to cover some dirt racing out here.
I don't think you're gonna have to twist my arm too hard. How far did you say you were from Boone?
I'm about 3.5 hours from Boone.
That is nothing compared to going to Roaring Knob. I went 6 hours and drove back in one day for
Yeah,
crying out.
yeah,
That's nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, the IMCA Nationals, and that's one thing I've always had on my bucket list.
Yep.
You know,
And
I've done
then
the Williams Groves. I've done the Williams Groves. I've done the Eldoras, and I want to get Knoxville and
Knoxville,
Boone.
I was there 2 years in a row. And the last year I was there, I've got to tell you this story, Tony. Last year I was there. I've always been a big Mark Kinzer fan. Mark is
Mhm.
Steve's cousin. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the boss right there. Mark. I've always followed Mark. Well, that last year it was at Knoxville. Me and my friend decided to stay for all 4 days. Well, which we hadn't done before. We stayed for the first three and then went home and caught the fourth day on TNN. Well, the fourth day with the 4 days we stayed there. The last day we've checked out. We had seats on the backstretch, so that was fine. Very, very good race. Well, halfway into the race, they had a red flag come out because there's two cars that tangled up front. And a couple of guys, my friend was sitting next to, and the guy that was sitting next to him they were saying, man, I wonder who's going to win this race. Is it going to be Steve? And I says, well, history has something to do with this here. I says, because Carl Kinzer, Mark's dad, has always helped Steve out. He's helping Mark out now. And I says, something's going to happen to Mark's car and Mark is going to be just like unstoppable. And they're like, you're nuts. And I'll tell you what, I was right. He did a little fine tune work under the red flag, into the open red flag. And man, when Mark got up front, there was nobody stopping him. So I thought, well, after the races were over, I was going to walk down to the pits and talk to Mark. And lo and behold, Mark was up in the VIP booth doing his interviews from winning the Knoxville Nationals and stuff like that. But I was standing there in line, and all at once, Carl Kinzer walks up to me and he says, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, I'm doing pretty good. And he's like, you know who I am, don't you? And I says, yeah, it's a given. I says, I know who you are. I says, that you're like the ace mechanic here. And he says, oh yeah. And he says, you waiting to see somebody? I said, well, I was waiting to talk to Mark. And he says, well, Mark won't be down for a while. I says, well, okay. He says, but you can talk to me. And I says, okay, Carl. I says, so we started striking up a conversation. And lo and behold, he's like, I've got hero cards too. You want my autograph? I was like, bring it on. Let's go. So I got his autograph. And he's like, oh, by the way, he says, can I have my picture taken with you? And I says, sure, dude, let's go. So yeah, and my picture taken with Carl Kinzer was pretty huge. And got to meet a lot of really nice outlaw sprint car drivers down there. I got to meet Stevie Smith. Stevie was pretty awesome. He was out of New Oxford, PA. Got a chance to talk to Fred Raymer for a tad bit.
That guy could drive.
Oh God, yeah, he could drive, definitely. Didn't get a chance to talk to Greg Hodnett. I wish I would have back then, but I did get a chance to talk to Lance Blevins. Blevins doesn't race anymore.
Right.
But then talk to some of the other ones. Talked to Jack Howenschild. Jack was pretty phenomenal to deal with. Oh yeah, and then Danny the Dude Lasowski. But yeah, it was pretty phenomenal to be down there for all 4 days and get to meet a bunch of different drivers. The first night we were down there, getting ready to go into the seats to watch the races, Brad Doty's sitting at the gate signing autographs, and I was like, oh my God, I know who that is. I'm definitely gonna get his autograph. So I got an autograph from Brad Doty. It was pretty huge there too. So
Two quick things I just thought of, and you brought up Kenzer's. I think you and I talked about it one time. When I went to Lawrenceburg, Indiana last summer for the World of Outlaws show, that it was the day right after Kyle Larson won Charlotte.
Okay.
Outlaw race in Lawrenceburg.
Yeah.
We went to Eldora the night before, then we went to a 410 wingless show at another track in Indiana. But right after I got done doing Donnie Schantz's interview, the next hauler down was I forget who it was, but anyway, Steve Kinzer walked by, and I figured, he's been retired for a couple of years, and you could tell he might have had 1 or 2 beers in him.
Yeah.
And said, well, we'll try. I could not get the guy to shut up. The interview went a lot longer than I wanted to, but I'll tell you, the guy, one of the funnest interviews I ever did. Never met him in my life, but he started, why would you want my interview? I don't even race anymore. And I knew it was going to be good right from that. It's the king, Steve
Oh, yeah.
Kenzer. And the other not so good thing that I hope I never witness again. I was helping out. Actually, I grew up with Pete Northrup.
Okay.
He's the crew chief for Danny Varon. Pete, back from my hometown. He was in the Marines. He used to come up from, I believe it was Virginia, every weekend to go to Fonda Speedway and crew, which is nuts in itself. And anyways, I was helping them guys out, hanging out with them guys for the weekend. And Danny was right behind Tony Stewart when him and Kevin Ward got tangled
Oh,
up. And
oh boy. Oh boy. Oh
I
boy.
saw that whole thing, and it just, the next
Yeah.
day we actually had tickets for Watkins Glen. So we were at a sprint car race at Outlaw Friday night, Canandaigua, where the tragedy happened, then Watkins Glen the next day. And just every time I go to Canandaigua, I still remember that night. And
Yeah.
I'm not putting blame out there, but it's something I wish no one ever has to see in life.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. And
That's why I tell all drivers, don't get out of your cars on the track.
and Tony, I had prior to Jason Johnson passing away in the Outlaw Sprint car, a week or two before that, I had a really good conversation with him and Shane Stewart. Shane Stewart's phenomenal to deal with. Shane lives in Oklahoma now, but or Indiana, but he runs he runs a micro sprint track down in Tulsa. Yes. Anyway, had a very good conversation with him because I was helping a kid out with his fundraiser for his ultimate dream type thing, because he races with a non-curable disease, and they're like, man, we would love to work with you and stuff like that, because you seem like a phenomenal person. We would love to work with you, work on getting some stuff lined up for him. And I was like, cool, and we were going to work on that. Well, then week after that at Beaver Dam was when Jason Johnson was killed. And I was just like, man, this is just nuts. This is just crazy and nuts.
It's a risk they all take. Everyone takes them, even as a fan,
Yeah. And I'm going to throw this out there too, Tony. I'm not bashing any tracks or anything, but I think Beaver Dam needs to have a safer setup than what they had back then, because back then when Jason Johnson got killed, they didn't have like protective fencing down the back. It was just strictly billboards. And I'm just like, this is not going to end well at all. And yeah. Safety first is very right. But Tony, I'm gonna get ready to let you go. But when you get ready to kick off, a week or so before Mackenzie's first race, I'll have you back on here again to kind of give us an update as to what you're looking forward to Kenzie's races this year. How's that?
Sounds like a plan, sir. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Very smart in the sport. I learned from you. I like it.
Yes, thank you very much, Tony. Do you have any questions you want to ask me before I let you go?
What's the favorite racetrack you ever been to?
I would honestly say the favorite racetrack I have ever been to is I've been to two. I've been to Boone for the Super Nationals. That was huge. And then Knoxville is the other one. Those two are my favorites right up there.
Who I want to go with? Go figure.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
My other favorite's Port Royal in Pennsylvania. That's a beautiful.
I've never been there, and they say that's a track to hit up. Yes, definitely. Oh, yes. But with that being said, Tony, I'm going to let you go, and I will call you in just a little bit to thank you in person for doing this interview with me. Once again, Tony, thank you very much for talking about Mackenzie and talking about your racing and her races and stuff like that in the parade. That was pretty huge. Thank you very much, Tony.
Thanks for your time, Josh. I appreciate it.
Yep. You have a good night. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we close out tonight's show, definitely our thoughts and prayers are going out to Derek McGrew Sr. as he has been battling COVID. So hopefully Derek can feel better. Get well soon, Derek. But also another thoughts and prayers go out to DJ Barnes. He was one of our guests back on the Facebook Live version of this racing show. Douglas DJ Barnes is battling COVID also. So get well soon, and thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. But ladies and gentlemen, definitely get ready because racing season is just around the corner. There's a bunch of Trey Mills said there's only like 7 days left before he takes the track for the first time in 2022. So good luck to Trey Mills and all the other racers racing this year. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you have a good night. Catch you later on another episode of the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show #1 on YouTube. Be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that notifications button on their YouTube channel. So with that being said, have a good night. Catch you later, ladies and gentlemen.